If you're a sports fan who typically follows your favorite players on social media, you'll know that they'll typically be riding around in luxurious cars, living in mansions, and vacationing on million-dollar yachts. But is this really the case for the regular, less-known sports players? If you know, the top players in the MLB, NFL, and NBA make million-dollar salaries. But is most of this income from playing and being on the court? Let's dive in. LeBron James, the NBA legend, has made $430 million from his time on the court. But he's actually made a lot more otherwise. But what about Megan Calmo, who shares a $1,000 a month apartment with a fellow Olympian? Do Olympians, retired athletes, and minor leaguers really make any money? Is their life actually luxurious, or is it really just like you and me? This is essentially sports. And today, we break down how much do the top athletes make and what do their endorsements and packages look like. And we explore if your favorite athletes make actual money. Let's start with the obvious salaries. Of course, Patrick Mahomes, the famous quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, makes around $430 million a year. But I'll have you know, he makes a massive amount of money from his endorsements off the field sponsorships. Most sports salaries are loaded with clauses, incentives, and bonus packages. Some contracts are fully guaranteed, meaning the player earns exactly what they make. But many other ones are based on incentives, promotions, and if they get hurt or injured, while others are performance-based. So if an athlete misses games, gets benched, or gets injured, they're not taking home that cash. For example, in 2019,
New Orleans Saints receiver Michael Thomas
had a $96 million contract, but he was sidelined with injuries for 2 years, so he didn't really see much of that money. His contract included performance bonuses, so it seemed like he was making a ton of money, when in reality that's not the case. The bonuses depend on meeting certain goals and targets. And it gets even trickier in smaller leagues. Take minor league baseball players. They don't make millions. In fact, some are barely making $30,000 a year, despite being professional athletes. Now let's talk about college athletes.
because this is where NIL deals come into play.
NIL is about name, image, and likeness, which is a rule in America that allows college athletes to make money by monetizing their personal brand. Before 2021, NCAA athletes weren't allowed to earn anything from sponsorships, endorsements, or appearances, even though their schools and sports programs made millions off their performances. But NIL changed that. Now, athletes can sign with brands, promote products on social media, and even create their own merchandise, all while still playing in college. That's how young football star Arch Manning has earned millions of dollars before ever stepping on a professional playing field. Now let's get to the big money talks. Let's talk Michael Jordan, MJ. So he's made $90 million from his playing career, but a whopping $2 billion, that's $2 billion from selling shoes. The same goes for today's superstars. Take Cristiano Ronaldo, who earns $50 million a year from his deal with Nike. Take Naomi Osaka, one of the biggest names in tennis, who earned $4.7 million from the Australian Open. But on the other side, she pulled $55 million from working with brands like Louis Vuitton, Beats by Dre, and Nike. Even athletes who aren't household names can land solid sponsorships. Golfers, for instance, make a fortune just from wearing a company's logo. Ricky Fowler, who gets paid millions by Puma just to rock their gear during tournaments. Similarly, Indian cricketer Virat Kohli's association with Puma began with a landmark deal valued at a whopping $12.6 million back in 2017, marking one of the most significant endorsements in Indian sports history. The financial rewards for athletes can differ so much based on where they're from and what they're doing. Let's start with Singapore, where athletes make a whopping $700K for getting a gold medal. That's a huge prize for sure. But in Russia, things go a step further. Athletes earn luxurious cars and get to live in mansions for winning gold and other medals. In contrast, many other countries offer less. The US is always pumping out the best athletes in the world, but they don't even pay them that much. Isn't that wild for such a country that's a behemoth? In some countries, athletes are given yearly salaries that really help them focus on their training. That sounds ideal, right? But isn't it insane that in the US, some athletes just earn a few $100s a year to compete in the Olympics? How can you imagine trying to compete with making just that much money? Two athletes from the 2012 London Olympics, Usain Bolt and Megan Calmo. Both won medals, but their financial situations were vastly different. Usain Bolt, at the peak of his career, made $20 million in 2012. The majority of his income came from sponsorships, particularly a $9 million deal with Puma. On top of that, he made hundreds of thousands of dollars in prize money and $250K for just stepping on the track. What a beast! On the other hand, Megan Calmo, who won a bronze medal in the same Olympics, faced a very different reality. She shares a house with another athlete and pays only $1K a month in rent. When her truck breaks down, she struggles to find a mechanic willing to take monthly payments. Now she works a part-time desk job and grows her own food to make ends meet. Whereas UFC and MMA are completely performance-based. When Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather, he earned a crazy $130 million. But had he been fighting lower-tier opponents, he would have never received that crazy of an amount. Now let's talk about when athletes retire. I'll have you know that some athletes make so much more after they are done with the playing field. Shaquille O'Neal, he's worth a whopping $400 million. But most of that has nothing to do with basketball. He owns hundreds of franchises, including Papa John's, Five Guys, and lots of car washes. Can you name any of those franchises? Let me know in the comment section down below. Then there's Magic Johnson, who turned his NBA money into a business empire. He owns part of the LA Dodgers, movie theaters, and Starbucks stores, making him one of the wealthiest former athletes ever. On the flip side, some athletes burn through their cash. Allen Iverson, for instance, earned $150 million, but then after his playing days went bankrupt. But thanks to a deal with Reebok, he now makes $800K per year. And when he reaches the age of 52, he's gonna make $32 million. Now, let's get into the wild cards and discuss some of the out-of-the-box ways that people make money. Kevin Durant invested in Uber early, and a $1 million investment clipped him $50 million. Venus Williams runs an interior design company. Rob Gronkowski, he never even touched a cent of his playing earnings, relying particularly on endorsements. And then there's Lamar Odom, who made millions selling, well, let's just say some sort of wellness product. Athletes today are thinking well beyond their checks from the playing field. While superstars sign jaw-dropping contracts, they make their real money from endorsements, sponsorships, and off-the-field engagement. From Michael Jordan's billion-dollar shoe empire to Shaquille O'Neal's franchises, athletes are killing it on and off the field and post-retirement. The smartest athletes turn their fame into financial legacies, whether it's leveraging social media, cashing in on prize money, or being a business mogul. If you've enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Essentially Sports, where we'll be delivering the hottest takes in the sporting realm.